Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We're going to start with opening roll call. Annie has had some scheduling conflicts, so she's always been good and gotten herself a secretary to fill in for her. This is Anna Kudis. So she's going to call your name, and please state that you're present. Oh, Annie's going to do it, but Anna's here.
Okay, Michael Aldinger.
Here.
Mike Anderson.
Here.
William Barr.
Here.
Jim Byrne.
Here.
Ruth, can you pronounce her last name just once?
Kanagaraja.
Kanagaraja, okay. Ralph.
Here.
Sarah Donenberg.
Here.
Adam Barone.
Here.
Hillary Gupta. Here. Nicholas Hine. Hubert Hines.
Here.
Gavin Kieran.
Here.
John King.
Here.
Caitlin Kunkel.
I saw her.
She's here. She is here.
Okay.
She's here. That's something.
Andrew Koontz. Matt Lockman. Sean Leonard.
Here.
Daniel Lersch.
Here.
Sam Lohner.
Here.
Benjamin Lombard. Did you say you meant to leave?
Yeah.
Okay, alright. Okay. Steve Lucas.
Here.
Nick Mann.
Here.
Sean Malloy.
Here.
Samantha Miller.
Here.
Christopher Morrell.
Here.
Jose Bowman. Christopher Knott.
Here.
Alyssa, can you pronounce your last name? Is it Ockelberg?
It's Ellie and Oakleberg.
Ellie Ockelberg. Okay, thank you. Joanne Olson.
Here.
Louis Orazio.
Here.
Luke Pierce.
Here.
Bryant Poland.
Who's here?
Yeah,
he is.
He's at Greek State. So he's just not here now.
Kelly Potter.
Here.
Megan Quinn. Christian Ragland.
Here.
Valerie Russell.
Present.
Amy Sanders. Here. Carolyn Zaveri.
Here.
Matt Sheroff.
Here.
Philip Slusser. Richard Shermansky.
Present.
Colleen Smith.
Here.
Matthew Smith.
Here.
Michael Smith.
Here.
Michael Wallace.
Here.
Cindy Wang.
Okay, moving on to item number 2, adoption of the agenda. Are there any objections to the way that the agenda is now? With the exception of the secretary, but we already changed that. Okay, seeing none, the agenda is adopted. Moving on to item number 3, adoption of the past general meeting minutes. These were sent out via email as usual. Yes, from in advance.
I was just concerned about something with the last minutes. The amendment that was made by Sam Lohner to Gavin's policy for the facilities fee board. I was looking for the minutes, and there wasn't any type of a tally or count as to how many votes that received. I know ultimately it was voted down, but would
I wasn't
you be able
here,
to?
but I have the, yeah, I have it at the bottom. Does anyone, do you know? She did.
We do have it written down. We have that written down. I don't have that with me right now.
Okay.
If I can just fix that.
It's in the Excel sheet, not on, but we'll transfer it over.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else about the past general meeting minutes? Okay, those are adopted. Moving on to item number 4, open student forum. There are no students here to address the assembly, I'm guessing, unless, no, okay. Moving on to item number 5, report by the president, Gavin Kieran.
What's up, guys? Today I asked everyone to have their 60-day plans for each committee finished. Expect to hear about that a little bit in your committee reports. Valerie and I decided to, well, we formed a team, as we are, and put out our own 60-day plan day by day. I told you guys it could be week by week, but since we're president, vice president, we wanted to do a little more thorough. Yeah. So if you can, basically tonight we're going to send this out to everyone, just to highlight a few things for everyone to know. Number one, Valerie's really working on this idea of a sportsmanship council and sportsmanship at games, and she will be presenting legislation in the very near future about that. Something I've been working on for a while, I've been talking about for a while at least, is the idea of a legal advisor consultation system. In here I kind of put the game plan moving forward with that. Step one just happened as far as for this 60-day timeline, which was I met with Vice President Sims, started really talking about this and told him ideas. So what we're going to do moving forward is we're going to create a presidential commission to look at the idea of how to set up this system. And my goal is to collaborate with student affairs, the Dickinson School of Law students, and undergraduate students to kind of get a really concrete system going for this legal advisor program. I'm also looking to change the name. So if there's anybody, I'm looking for a creative name. I was unable to think of one. So if there's any brainiacs in here, I could appreciate the help. Thank you. But that should be getting going. My goal is to have that really finished and the ideas for funding really clearly laid out by November 10th, really. So that is the hope. So let's work together and make that a reality. There's a few things on here that just look at the organization as a whole. October 15th, we're going to have a presentation of the online book swap, which should be up and running by the end of November, and that's a major victory for this organization, as there's a lot of time put into that, specifically by our Sheroff and now by our academic affairs chair, Matt Smith. So that's probably going to be a little more thoroughly included in their timelines, but that's something that's going to be really big, and that's going to be happening in the next few weeks. And another thing that we're going to be working on is securing a budget for this organization in the next few weeks. I've had you guys all write up a budget, and hopefully have that for me tonight, so that we can start moving on that. Other than that, that is it for this week. I do look forward to hearing your plans. Thanks.
Questions? Representative Szymanski?
If you wanted to rename judicial affairs, what you were talking about earlier.
The idea that we campaigned on, the legal advisor system, yeah. I feel like that, it used to be called the legal advisor, so I think that we want to start something fresh here, and I think to do that we need a better brand name. So I leave it to you, the assembly, to help me on that one.
This is different from resolution.
Yeah, the tenant landlord mediation center, that's going to be coming before this body as well. I appreciate you asking that. And then that's in a couple weeks. The day it's in here. They're going to be coming forward, making a formal presentation once everything is secure as far as funding. But that should be all ready to go. That without a doubt will be ready to go by the end of the semester. So we're looking at definites are tenant landlord mediation center, online book swap, and if and the third one, hopefully, which will be ready to go, is the to be named legal advisor system.
Other questions?
I just have one other note. There was an email sent to me this week. Sean will email me about the SOCC progress, and Ralph's going to touch up on that and also talk about the judicial branch of UPUA. So I just wanted to let them know.
Any other questions for the president? Okay, just to add to that a little bit, Gavin said that I am working on Sportsmanship Council. He met with Vice President David Sims on Monday to talk about, tenant landlord and the legal advisors, and I met with him on Tuesday, Mr. Sims, to talk about sportsmanship, and I did meet with Greg Myford last week, and I've been in constant contact with all these people. I have a list of groups that will be included in this sort of council that will be created, hopefully. But what I want to encourage all of you to do is, if you think of anything, or maybe you go to any kind of athletic event on this campus, or at an opposing team's campus, let me know. Representative Lurch just came up to me before the this meeting and inform me of what you found at Purdue when you went to the game last weekend. So any just kind of tidbits of information that you want to pass along to me, or if you want to start attending the Tuesday meetings with me, if this is something that you're really interested in pursuing as well, then just let me know. You can let me know informally. It doesn't have to be in a General Assembly, and I would really love for any of you to get involved as well. But you will have a formal presentation, and there'll be legislation if you really do think that UPWA should back this kind of campaign of sorts. So that's what I have on that. Moving on, item number 6, special presentations. Former Vice President of Student Affairs, Ms. Gail Hurley. She is now in charge of Business and Auxiliary Services here, so she's going to come up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where would you like her to be?
Wherever you
I'll try to talk really. Can you hear me? If in some point you can't, just yell and let me know. I want to thank all of you for having me here this evening, and particularly Ralph for inviting me. I got a chuckle when I looked at the agenda and found that I was listed as the former Vice President of Student Affairs. It is true that I had the opportunity last year to serve as the interim Vice President. It was a great experience, and one of the things that made it so wonderful was the opportunity to spend time, bless you, spend time with so many different student leaders. And I got to meet Gavin, a number of you, and so it's really nice to see so many familiar faces and to see so many new faces. And that's honestly one of the things that I miss in my current role. Even though there's a lot of student contact, it's very different. And so one of the things that I'm going to talk with you about is how I'd like to see some of those things change. Because when I said to Ralph, what would you like me to talk about? He said, make sure it has some connection to student involvement, how the student voice can be heard in whatever it is you're doing now. So that's what I'm going to do. So, Auxiliary Business Services. That's where I work now. Does anybody know what that is? You have any idea of the offices? If you guys can't answer because you probably know the answer. If somebody said you need to go see Gail Curley and talk about this, what kinds of things would people come to see me about? Anybody have an idea? No clue? Okay. Auxiliary and Business Services. What might fit into that? Does anybody have a car? You have a car? Do you have a permit for that car?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not on campus.
Not on campus. Do you take the CATA bus?
No.
When you're on, take the loop or the link?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. One of the things in Auxiliary Business Services is transportation services. So that means there's parking and all the fleet cars if you ever go to a conference or rent a bus to go anywhere. Also all the CATA, all the bus transportation that we work with Center Area Transit Authority. So transportation services is one of the things that's in Auxiliary Business Services. Anybody else have an idea? Anybody ever go to a meeting at the Nittany Lion Inn? Anybody ever been to the Penn Stater? Those are all part of hospitality services. Anybody live on campus? Housing and food services are part of Auxiliary Business Services. Does anybody ever fly out of University Park Airport? There you go. So you're getting the gist. What is Auxiliary Business Services all about? We're a support unit for not only faculty and staff, but for students and visitors to campus. And so I have an org chart here for you that actually, I don't know if I have enough, but I think I made enough. There look like there are more of you than I thought there were going to be.
We keep multiplying.
I tried to put together not only just the offices that within Auxiliary Business Services, but all the contact information. So if you look on the front side of that page, you'll see that within auxiliary business services, there are some things that, like human resources, which basically support auxiliary and business services that help us with the recruitment and retention of our staff and those kinds of things. But housing and food services are part, as I said, of auxiliary and business services, and they report to Stan Latta, who's the assistant vice president. Then you have the business services division and procurement services. Anybody know what that is? Purchasing. Anything that gets purchased around here goes through procurement services. You know, you have lab equipment, all the computers in the computer labs, all those things go. It's tables, everything. Carpeting, fleet vehicles, they all go through purchasing. And some of you who are in the business area, if you're ever looking for a good internship experience, working in purchasing is a great place to be. Transportation services, we already talked about. The multimedia and print center, anybody know what that is? Copy centers, all of our mailing and addressing, all the deliveries to the various offices for their mail, that all comes from that office. The Bryce Jordan Center, has everybody been in the Bryce Jordan Center for something? Basketball or a concert or fall convocation? Bryce Jordan Center is part of our unit. University Park Airport, which I mentioned, and then hospitality services, which I mentioned. Now on the back side, I thought in particular you might be interested in the housing and food services organization. And you can see that we have residential dining. Those are all the dining commons around campus. Lisa Londell is responsible for those. Retail food services are the food services here in the hub, and then some of the what we call cart operations and bistro, Blue Chip Bistro up in business building, autos at Kern, that kind of thing. We have a housing director. We have folks who work with the campuses. We have 8 campuses that have housing and food services operations out there. Residence Life is really part of student affairs, but they report to an assistant vice president, Stan Latta, because housing, foods, and residence life are so interconnected. Then we also have ancillary services. That's the person who works with our commons desks, with our conferences, our assignment office, our card access system, and then we have facilities because, as you know, we're always renovating, building, trying to keep everything fresh and attractive and convenient, comfortable for our students. So, now why did I give this to you? Because I want you to understand a little better about what it is I do, but most importantly, I want you to have all this contact information. All the directors on this sheet know that I gave out their names, their email addresses, and their phone numbers. And I want you to feel comfortable at any point in time, if you have a question or an issue or an idea that in any way connects with any of these people, I want you to feel like that you can contact them. You can certainly always contact me, particularly if you're not getting a response from them. But I want you to feel like you have that opportunity to do that. Because one of my goals, and one of the things that I think I can contribute from my past student affairs experience, is the opportunity to help auxiliary business services to become even more student-centered than it has been in the past. In every one of these units, we either serve students directly or we in some way do something that provides you either with an experience or an opportunity. For example, in hospitality services, although most of our customers in hospitality services are not students, they're your parents or visitors or alumni, we employ lots and lots of students in hospitality services, particularly from the School of Hospitality Management. That's where they get a lot of their internship credits. The Bryce Jordan Center, we employ students there. We hopefully entertain the students there. In addition, we offer many opportunities for internships. And you can go through every one of these units and you will find those characteristics. So, not only do I encourage you, if you have a question, an idea, a concern, to call any one of those offices, but I would also suggest to you, if you are looking for a learning experience, an internship opportunity, some of which are paid, some of which are not, to either contact those offices directly or to let me know that you're interested in that. Because the more we connect, the better we understand what it is we can do to better serve not only you, but the university. So, questions for me?
Representative Wallace.
First off, thank you for your time coming out. I'm question. If I was putting together a festival that would be happening at a location that's not exactly by a bus stop, would I talk to Mr. Davis about maybe rerouting the bus for a day or something? Is that possible?
Well, she probably would feel better if you called her Miss Davis, but
It's kind of hard.
it's actually, no, I'm just teasing you. Yeah. They just took the old chart and that's what they, I'm just teasing you. Yeah, it's Teresa, and she'll be happy if you call her by her first name. And yes, if you call over to Transportation Services, now depending upon what it is you're trying to do, she may or may not be able to accommodate you because we don't actually run the buses.
Yeah.
CATA runs the buses, and we have a contract with them to do certain things. So she'd have to see how that would work within the contract. But they would probably try to accommodate you either with that or make some other suggestions for you. Okay? What kind of festival are you having?
Lollapalooza, it's a huge music festival in the spring.
Neat.
So,
You know, some of the folks at the Bryce Jordan Center, if you
that's
need help
what I
with,
was also.
if you need help with contacting bands or however that works, I'm sure Al Carosis, who's the assistant general manager over there, he does a lot.
Is this Ryan Howard? Who's the
Bob
general
Howard is the general manager, but his assistant is a guy by the name of Al Carosis. And Bernie Hunt does a lot of the act contracting, and I'm sure they'd be more than willing to help you out. Okay?
Other questions? I have a question. So obviously you're very customer service oriented here. Do you ever collaborate with the libraries, the University Park libraries, and working with them on staff hiring or anything like that? If not, then that's just a no. That's what it looks like.
I'm not sure where you're going with the libraries. Why the
Because
libraries?
they're very customer oriented, and I was just curious if you ever talked to the dean over there, the associate dean. I know that's really outside of your realm, but just wanted to know if you ever collaborated on anything.
We have, not particularly about that. We've worked on the record center together and some of those kinds of things. So, but it'd be an interesting idea. I really think your point, though, about collaborating in partnerships is really how we'd like to see ourselves work with students. You know, and so it's really important. We can't always say yes to everything because sometimes there are financial reasons or contractual reasons or risk issues, but we'd like to be seen as offices who are truly concerned about students' experience and who are willing to at least listen to the idea that if we can't reroute the bus for the festival, maybe we can make another suggestion to you about how that could work. You know, so I think your notion of collaboration and partnership in general is a really good thing. Just the same reason why we want to work really closely with student affairs, because a lot of things we do support student affairs efforts as well.
Representative Miller?
Kind of on your comment just now about working with student affairs, I was wondering if your time serving in student affairs has given you any insight on any reforms or changes that need to be made now within her position in the business and auxiliary services?
You know, that's really a good question. I spent almost all of my career in student affairs. Since I've been at Penn State almost 24 years now, and up until the last you don't count last year, up until the last 2 years when I started over in auxiliary business services, I was in student affairs, and before I came to Penn State, I was in student affairs. And you know, that was one of the deciding factors when I had to decide whether I was going to put my name in to be considered for the vice president's job. Although I love student affairs work and it will always have a very special place in my heart, I really thought that there was an opportunity for me to make a difference in auxiliary business services because I'm not sure, even though we serve lots of students in lots of different ways, I'm not sure that auxiliary and business services folks thought of themselves as being so closely tied to students as I see the connection. So I hope that ends up being my connection to my contribution, rather, to auxiliary and business services, is to say, you know, there are some great partnerships with students. Some of the best ideas we've ever had in student affairs came from students. So the same thing could be well true in auxiliary and business services. Sure.
Mr. Cabello?
I guess there's a two-part question. Under the Director of Transportation Services or whatever, you said the name was?
Teresa Davis.
Teresa Davis. Her office, does that also include police services? Does she oversee police services as well, or is it just transportation services? And if it doesn't, and I guess the second part of that is, so that department also oversees policies for transportation, parking, etc., correct?
In answer to your second question, yes, Transportation Services is responsible for developing the policies for parking. The enforcement of parking, however, happens through University Police, and that's a separate unit. Steve Shiloh is the Director of University Police, and Teresa and Steve are good colleagues, and they work together in terms of the enforcement, but it's Steve's staff who actually enforce the parking regulations, which actually is a little different from most other institutions. We're actually looking at that now. At most other institutions, the people who are responsible for parking also in terms of writing the rules are also the people who enforce it. And here it's separated out.
Other questions? Representative Mintz?
So I kind of been trying to get some information based on an issue that concerns students. I'm kind of frustrated because I keep on getting bounced from the Residence Life office. I've actually met with Diane Andrews between there and the corporate controller's office. Do you have any advice, like, to students, and do you know how can we get in touch with, say, some of the, like, Old Main administrators and offices through, like, some of the auxiliary business finance offices? Is there a way to do that?
There's always a way to do whatever, but I guess that I need to better understand the kind of question you have and where it is you're trying to go.
Well, I guess more specifically, like, where does, like, the corporate controller's office in Old Main, are they considered in auxiliary business finance?
No, the corporate controller reports to the senior vice president for finance and business.
Okay.
And the corporate controller is Joe Donchez. And if there's some issue, though, that some concern you have that's related to the corporate controller's office, Joe and I report to the same person. So he's one of my peers. He's one of my colleagues. I see him every other week at staff meeting. I'd be more than happy to forward your question to him or help you in some way. I guess, when you think of how does auxiliary business services fit into the scheme of things, I report to the senior vice president for finance and business, and that's Al Horvath and Gary Schultz. They kind of got a dual thing going on here. And they report to the president, okay? And Diane reports to Stan, but for the student affairs piece of the work, Stan reports to Damon Sims, the vice president for student affairs. Stan reports to me and to Damon. He's got a split position. So, but if you have questions, they might be out of auxiliary, they might not fit in student affairs, and they might not fit in auxiliary business services. But if they in any way fit with the money part, the financial part, the physical plant part of Penn State, I'd be happy to help. I may not know the answer, but I probably know the people who can give you the answer. Because those are the folks I deal with mostly now on this job.
Okay, last question, Representative Lucas.
Ms. Hurley, there's been talk that the new housing in McElwain, the renovations, can be inclusive for transgender students. Is that true, or like, what is the layout of those?
Well, that's a really good question. We're really excited because McElwain, the spaces in McElwain will be online, assuming all goes well, this January. And the layout is a little different than our other residence halls. And what we've tried to do is create more private bathroom space. And we understand from having met with a number of students that the layout as it's currently designed will be a much more comfortable environment for our students who are transgender. So I'd be happy to share the floor plan with you. It's really kind of neat.
Are we gonna, how many students apply for that specific kind of?
Well, actually, we haven't figured out all the processes, but I need to tell you that right now, what will happen this January may be different from how things happen over the long haul. Because if you haven't noticed, we have a few people living, more people living with us than we had anticipated would be living with us. So right now, our primary goal is to try and get people out of spaces they're in. So the process we have for spring is probably going to involve people who are either now living with RAs or in supplemental housing. That needs to be our first priority to change that. But then how we offer the housing for the future will be different, and that hasn't been decided. And I would suggest that if you have some suggestions about that, you talk either to Mark Ramaker in Residence Life or to Linda Block, who's on here in Ancillary Services. Okay?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment, being that was the last question, and thank you for coming out. Last year, if you guys remember, Gal came out and talked to us at the time, but in her role as the Vice President of Student Affairs, she really helped us out a lot as an organization, and a lot of the changes we talk about in these 60-day plans and a lot of the goals that we have in this organization are possible because of her leadership in that position last year to allow for more student freedom and really student autonomy. So we do really appreciate everything that you've done to help this organization.
That was very nice. If I might just say two things real quickly. First of all, I really appreciate that. That was very kind, and I do honestly miss some of these opportunities. And one of the things we're trying to do is have some of the auxiliary and business services staff that you see on this chart meet together with students, and actually next 16th is Thursday, I think. We've invited Gavin and some other folks, GSA, CCSG, ARHS to come together and hear from some things that are going on in those units, but also to give that as an opportunity for students to say, hey, I don't know if you have a parking issue and that's where you need to go with that, but there are some, some ideas there, so I'm really excited about that. A number of you called me Miss Hurley. I much prefer, and I almost fell over when Ralph called me Gail today, I much prefer that you call me Gail. It's more comfortable for me, and hopefully it's more comfortable for you. My email's on there, my phone number's on there. I'm very serious about not losing touch with students, so don't hesitate to call. And one of the things that you may or may not know is that we have a bakery on campus. Did you know that? Well, one of the things you may want to do on occasion is come visit the bakery. We make lots and lots of good things there. And I kind of thought it might be appropriate, although I don't know if you're allowed to eat, but I see people with drinks. I brought a little something from our bakery to eat. It's actually, they're actually one of our more popular items. Cookies on a stick. So, whoops, I'm not quite sure how you're going to do this, but I'll let you all figure it out. So, cookies on a stick from your friends in Auxiliary Business Services. Thank you.
Okay, Miss Caitlin Holmes is going to hand those out because she's kind. Okay, moving on. Thank you, Gail, for being here. Moving on to item number 7, report for the association directors and staff. We're going to begin with Mike Anderson, Chief of Staff.
Hi everyone. This past week we had our first exec board meeting on Sunday. It was pretty informal, more of a meet and greet, just kind of getting everyone acquainted, getting the department directors to meet their department members and giving them a feel for what the future of the exec board would look like. We'll be meeting again this Sunday. We'll have a room reservation for that. The way we're going to do it is basically have the directors meet at 6 o'clock, and they're going to meet with their departments then at 7 o'clock. You're all welcome to come for that excitement, but we'll have fun. I also started the recruitment process for the Board of Arbitration. I've been in contact with the Undergraduate Law Society, the Mock Trial Association, and a few other legally related organizations. I've had one interview for that so far, and I understand there's other members of this organization that are in contact with the Student Organizational Conduct Committee to possibly talk about filling that role as well. So exciting progress there. Still on the search for a webmaster, talked to a few people within the College of Information Sciences and Technology. Not a whole lot of leads there, so I'm open to ideas, but that's all for now.
Okay, questions for Mr. Anderson? Okay, thank you. Moving on to Matt Sheroff, Treasurer.
Good evening, everyone. A couple major spending items. The first was we finally got legal affairs, their laptop. That was about $800. Not that that directly affects us, but that still is part of the all-encompassing UPUA budget that was appropriated to us from UPAC. Also, there is a $100 purchase order at Copy Central. We also have the $100 for the picture that we just took tonight. In terms of the copier update, Caitlin's been working very diligently on meeting with Xerox, and hopefully we will have a multi-function copier from them by mid-month. That's the goal. But in the meanwhile, I'm sure you guys have noticed if you go into the office that we have a loaner, and that all we need is paper, and then that'll be up and running. But until we get that paper, you guys can use the Copy Central PO for that. And that's it.
Question. President Malloy.
What's your current balance? Current balance. UPAC is down to $18,815 because of the laptop. And then unrestricted is $1,790.
Mr. Cavallo.
Does that include, what outstanding payments do we still have from Purdue? And I know at one point we had some outstanding funds, and I was wondering if you could clarify that.
Those are all reflected in the current balances as far as I know. I just picked up, they gave me a huge list when I was there last week, probably 5 or 6 outstanding purchase orders that hadn't been cleared or approved, so I think they should.
Deposits
Maybe some have to further investigate, but I thought they were all reflected in the balance, but the ASA isn't exactly the most timely organization, so I'll look into that.
Other questions? Okay. Moving on to our Greek Life Director, Mr. Luke Pierce.
Good evening, everybody. This past week, I've been taking a couple meetings with Panhellenic councils, multicultural and national Panhellenic and interfraternity councils regarding some of the things I spoke on last time I attended a meeting. I'm still yet to track down a Panhellenic council meeting, but I've been going and stirring up interest for delegate liaison position. And after performing some necessary due diligence, reviewing bylaws and constitutions, each of the 4 respective councils, I uncovered that in some way, shape, or form, there is a university chairperson or university relations chairperson in each of the councils. And it's kind of an implicit delegate to UPUA. Speaking to some of those individuals that hold those positions currently, they're very unaware of their position and have very little ties to UPUA. So I'm going to attempt to bring them up to speed on some issues that we're going to be talking about here in assembly from a week-to-week basis, and get them more educated about what they should be doing in their job as it's defined by their constitution, their bylaws. In the coming weeks here, I'm going to prepare a recommendation for establishing a little more congruency in all these positions here. Like I said, they're kind of nebulous in the way that they're defined. Many people, the range of responsibilities range from, covering university-sponsored programming and dates and stuff like that. So these are generally wide positions and not specifically defined towards UPUA. So, like I said, in the next couple weeks, I'm going to be sitting down with council leaders, hopefully to develop a plan to get a more congruent position that's specifically delegated to being a liaison to UPUA. And that's pretty much all I have.
Questions? Okay, thank you. Moving on to our media director, Mr. Adam Ferron.
Good evening, everyone. I know it might be hard to keep everyone's attention because of the delicious cookies, but I'll definitely do my best. This week I went to the steering committee, which while it was a little bit long, it was definitely very informative, and it definitely helped me learn a lot about what's going on in the UPUA and it's all, valuable information that I'll definitely need to know. So I definitely plan on attending that every week just to keep myself up to speed. so as to keep the university up to speed. Today I just received Gavin and Valerie's plans for their 60-day plans for the rest of the semester, and I duly publicize that information, and I look forward to getting everybody else's plans so I can get that out there. And that's it for now. Thanks.
Questions? Mr. Kierans.
I just wanted to say real quick, Adam's been really getting after it. It was kind of a transition from him not being involved in the past, but he does have a strong background, and has really been trying to learn and really pick up anything that he might not have learned. So I really feel like his role is going to become more encompassing and more proactive for the next few weeks, and I'm expecting a lot out of him, and I think he's up to the challenge.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, I just wanted to add also, if you get contacted by any number of media outlets here on campus or in the State College Borough, make sure you give him an email, shoot him an email, or give him a call or something to see what his perspective would be on your contact with them.
Thanks, Valerie.
You're welcome. Moving on to business, Mr. Luis Orazio.
Good evening, everyone. After our meeting on Sunday, I subsequently met with the 4 members of the Business and Marketing Division to talk about just some brainstorming events for this year's fundraising efforts for UPUA. Some of the minor projects that we're considering undertaking this year involve clothing sales, working with some distributors and wholesalers in downtown State College. I know that last 2 years running as a member of the Penn State Marketing Association, we had the Big Ass clothing sale in the hub, and that was extremely productive and successful. So I'm considering doing something along those lines in the springtime. During the holiday seasons and Valentine's Day, we're considering doing a flower sale. Obviously, we'll sell roses during Valentine's Day and possibly either poinsettias or carnations during the holiday season in the wintertime. Some more involved projects. One of my division members, Nick Visconti, is actually a student representative for the Rockstar drink. If you guys are familiar with AMP, it's the same company. They just produce AMP and Rockstar. So we're considering doing a promotion with Rockstar, and obviously that'll generate some cash for UPUA through those efforts. We're also thinking about doing a promotion with the Cereality store in downtown State College. Their promotion would involve having a UPUA cereal bowl, and we would take a portion of all sales from that bowl. So obviously that's something that we will subsequently research and bring to the table if we see it as a profitable investment. More involved projects that I've seen be really productive in the past are concerts. As Gail mentioned before, we can work with Bryce Jordan Center on coordinating efforts with entertainment to see whether or not they can participate in not only the BJC performance, but a performance with a UPUA fundraiser as well. And I've thrown around the idea of putting together a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. I've seen that be very successful with the intramurals. Usually there's more supply than there is demand for teams, so a lot of kids end up not being able to compete because they can't have enough teams. So our tournament would definitely have a lot of demand for student participation, so we're considering doing that as well. And if anyone here has any suggestions for fundraising events that have been successful in other student groups that you've seen happen in the past, please feel free to email me or stop me after the meeting and let me know about it.
Questions? Okay, thank you. Moving on to Women's Affairs and Ms. Ruth Kanagaraja. Hi. So my goals from the prior week are well underway. This week I got 6 leaders from women's organizations to come on board with me as a subcommittee. What I hope to be doing by next week is to have a meeting and like a kind of lead a kind of roundtable discussion to discuss what are the issues that are important at the moment. Also, I'm planning like a one-day symposium event or something for later on in the semester. I have the Center of Women's Studies Center of Women's Students and the Women's Resource Center to contribute to that. They agreed to help in terms of like presentations and stuff. And that's it for now. Questions? Representative Lucas?
Do you know when the meeting will be? or are you going to schedule?
I'm actually talking with them just to, I'm trying to get the dates and times that they're available, so I'm still trying to decide. Other questions? Okay, thank you. Moving on to multicultural affairs and Ms. Cindy Wang.
Okay, this week I'm actually setting up several meetings with the Multicultural Club president. I'm having lunch with them tomorrow with my community member. And also I recruited 2 member members, and one of them has been really involved in Global Connection. So I'm hoping to co-sponsor that, as I said last week. And basically I'm just gonna have more meeting with all the presidents of the Multicultural Club and speak at their club meetings and such. So that's it for this week.
Questions? Okay, thank you, everyone. I just want to encourage all the representatives to get involved with any of these initiatives. If you have good ideas, I know Representative Potter was talking to Ms. Kanagaraja the other day about what she might be able to do and some of the discussion that they might be able to have, and any kind of joint efforts, collaboration. You don't have to be involved in things just because you're in a specific committee that is dealing with that, or if one of the directors come and ask you for your help. You should always be proactive in helping them. Okay, moving on to item number 8, committee reports. Mr. Gavello, steering committee.
You should all have the steering committee reports. Very brief this week. I'm trying to do brief bullet points. A couple things to highlight. Ian Kellogg, which is the student programmer that the steering committee approved over the summer to do the book exchange, will probably be coming before the assembly next week in order just to give you an overall presentation of the ideas and for you to maybe make suggestions or give your opinions, since Matt was nice enough to email that link out to you. I hope you've all went to it and maybe try and debug it a little bit, so that's important to note. Also, I have a meeting with Mary, our advisor, this Friday to discuss some very important issues regarding the Hub Advisory Board and that entity, as well as I got a lot of feedback over the last couple of weeks regarding the lounge proposal or doing something outside the UQA office in that vast space that is really not being used. A lot of representatives have talked to me in the steering committee, encouraged me to pursue that. So that's another topic that will be discussed.
Questions for Mr. Camello? Okay, thank you. Moving on to the Internal Development Committee, Mr. Karas, Representative Karasik, Mr. Karasik, he is not here tonight. So Mr. Representative Malloy, he's the vice chair of that committee, if you all aren't aware of that. So he's going to give the report.
Yeah, Andrew's not here tonight, so basically in our committee hearings, we talked about where we're going to go with the 60-day plan. Basically, we're going to be looking over the bylaws, the Constitution, the elections code, and the commissioners, look at all those things. We also will hopefully look at the SOCC stuff and all that as well. We're planning to interview Ian Vickery for the Legislative Affairs position and Pat Gorn for the Off-Campus Director position next week. So we should hopefully have those here on the floor. And we need to pass a policy about executive appointments, making what actions we take in our committee more transparent. Just to remind you that our ID committee meetings are from 1 to 2 on Tuesdays in room 111 Hub. So anyone, they're open and aren't secret. And when we have large debates on stuff, we're going to be having recordings done or minutes cast in some fashion. So everyone can go back and review and see why we've said, come to the verdict we have with the appointments. And we're also really working on making this early aspect with all the reports and everything and the General Assembly meetings more streamlined is, I guess, the word. A lot of people have expressed concern on this, and so the ID committee is going to start working on solving that. And that's really basically it. We work on the budget.
So by streamlining the committee reports section of the, you just mean moving that to a different place on the agenda, maybe, or?
We're open to actually a lot of options. The committee came up with a couple of different options, so we're going to pursue that.
Okay.
Yeah. What we're looking at actually cutting it down the actual reports, instead of me standing up here and talking for 5 minutes and then taking questions, maybe actually just having a report, have everyone review it for 5 minutes, and then have like a 5-minute period for questioning, as opposed to 25 minutes of reports and questions and reports and questions.
Okay.
And same thing for the exec board as well.
Right. Okay, questions? Okay, thank you. Moving on to the programming committee, Representative Ms. Gupta.
Okay, I really apologize. I broke my printer somehow and I was not able to print out my system things or my committee report. So, I'm just gonna say, first of all, thank you for all of you who came to Chili's. It was a lot of fun, and we're gonna try to make that kind of like a monthly-ish thing. Probably with different reasons. Our homecoming banner is ordered. It was $165, I think.
Oh.
It's a blue planner, it's blue, and it has white writing, and it says University of Undergraduate Association.
Can everyone hear?
Can y'all hear me? I just feel like it's awkward on this. Did y'all hear me about the banner? So the banner was ordered, it's $165, it's marine blue, white writing. And then, Sean, where's Sean? Do you want to talk about Sean?
Yeah.
I passed around the sheet. We are going to be planning this weekend, just day trip. I think both Hillary and I realized, along with our awesome staff assistant, Caitlin, kind of realized that everybody in UQA is busy or involved in other things. So we are doing day trips instead of going to somebody's house. Our first day trip is on Saturday. At Lowe's in Altoona, we're going to be taking out, I think, 1 or 2 cars from here. I think Val offered up a car as well as Caitlin. So there's a sign-up sheet. Sign up, please. And tomorrow we're meeting at 6 in the UQA office, going over finalizing handy stuff as well as shirts and things like that. Okay, I think that's it.
Okay, and then also, I know I just sent this around for the homecoming parade. Carolyn went to the meeting last night. We're literally just going to walk with our banner and pass out candy. Last year we got in trouble because we threw candy. So, sorry. So I think 18 of y'all signed up, so that's great. I'm going to email all of you and tell you exactly what time and stuff. You guys have gotten all of that information yet. And then our committee is currently working on a big concert for next semester. More details to come.
Okay, questions? Mr. Kieran's? Okay. Questions? Are there no questions? Okay, I just wanted to add, in regards to Thon, I know that our staff assistant, Caitlin Holmes, she will print out letters to get corporate sponsors. So if you have addresses, any special messages you want put on those, let her know, and she will start getting those out as soon as she gets them. So that's a good thing. Representative Leonard?
Just to add with that, make sure that you are bringing the corporate information to both or to Hillary or I, just because we do have to get that stuff approved by our donor relations person. They have to approve the contacts and then we can go forward with that. Any kind of rule breaking is it really hurts us. So just make sure you go through us and our staff system can get those out as well.
Yeah, and also, you don't have to just have corporate sponsors, but as many of you know from being, for raising money for Thon, in past years, family members, any relatives that you have, a rich uncle, whatever, is great, because a lot of times they'll throw you a couple $100 maybe, I don't know, 1,000, whatever. I don't have a rich uncle, but I'll find somebody. Okay, so moving on to the Facilities Committee, Mr. Nick Mance.
Okay, we'll be having a meeting tomorrow at 111 Hub at 7:30. I am still in the process of trying to move our meetings to Tuesday, but I am going to do that this Tuesday, obviously, because of the Children's Center. But first and foremost priority for our meeting will be to continue to work on the some policies for the facilities fee board. That's been a little bit of a slower process than what I was anticipating, but we'll be working on that. Also, even if you saw in the Collegian today, class gifts of 1900 benches are kind of, we're still working on legislation for that. You saw Mr. Crowell's report for steering committee. Sam Leonard from my committee dropped a resolution on that. That's been recommitted to our committee, so we're also going to work on that. Something we've done that before that comes to December. Also, I got an email that was forwarded to me via Gavin about the Robeson Advisory Board. I went over to room 241 in the hub to pick up some information on that. They told me to come back tomorrow. The only thing is the application for the Robeson Advisory Board is due on Friday. I will try to pick that up tomorrow. I don't really appreciate them only giving me one day to work on that, but well. Also, I was also forwarded another email about the Take Charge Committee / My 20 initiative. I'm going to try to meet eventually with John Hurst, see what's going on with that this year. And I recently got in touch, called someone back from Oregon about the fee for rec rooms and commons area tables. I've gotten some new and changing information on that. That's actually what I was referencing when I wanted to ask you early about that. I just didn't want to ask a very detailed question because it seems like the information I get on that seems to change every week. So I would be totally concerned about that. I'm actually glad that this early came so I can email or maybe try to open up some more avenues of communication with some other people that she gets on this. That's it.
Questions? Representative Lombard?
I saw the article in the paper about the benches this morning, and I was just wondering, they said that they're trying to bring new benches in the spirit of the old benches, and that he would have like 2 of them that are actually going to have parts of the old benches. Do you know anything more about that? Like where
I heard first the story was that they're going to set up some type of little commemoration or plaque or something to commemorate the old benches. And now I read that today for the first time as well. Sam, if you would like to comment on that.
When they were first torn down a few weeks ago.
Sam, can you stand? Representative Lombard, thank you.
A few weeks ago when they were first torn down and I started looking into this for the facilities committee, one of the first responses I got back was from OPP that they were working to salvage, they saved 2 of the benches, they didn't destroy them, and they're going to sort of put the mural name in a way that will, in their minds, keep commemorating the class of 1900, but it'll be more of a commemorative thing than a useful thing. There will be a plaque for them, things like that. That's their plan. Maybe it's not as good as it should be.
That's what I was wondering, because I wasn't sure if they were just salvaging some screws from it, or if they're actually having some benches.
Well, I believe they saved some of the stones.
Other questions for Representative Lohner or Chairman Mance? Representative Malloy?
Yeah, this is unrelated to this, but do you recommend that members of the UPUA need to apply for the Hub Advisory Board?
That's actually kind of a question that I had. I'm assuming that I have to apply for that on my own. UPUA is not automatically a seat on that Robeson Advisory.
UPUA does have a seat by the bylaws. You're the person automatically who sits on it. But there are 3 at-large positions.
Do I have to follow this whole runaround to give me about this application?
Well, no, you don't. But if other people want to apply to it, there are 3 at-large positions that people can apply to.
So certainly anyone else who's interested, if they decide to use one, stop by 241 Hub tomorrow sometime to pick up an application if you're interested.
Other questions? Okay, thank you. Moving on to Academic Affairs Committee, Mr. Matthew Smith.
Basically to encourage students to, in good faith, take part in those services. Tuesday I met with Jeff Kuntz, the ITS Vice Provost. and discussed with him getting student advisory committee for ITS stood back up again. That got me an email yesterday, and I set up an appointment 2 weeks from now to go over bylaws that I'm working on. And I'm also giving him feedback he wants from our committee on the line patch training we're still working on. And finally, I didn't send it out to everyone, but my 6-day plan I sent already to the committee. If you want that, I can email it to you. One of the things I want to get to as far as developments, though, I only received 2 responses back regarding the book exchange. If you guys could seriously take a look at that and get back to me, it would really help out our committees. And it doesn't take a minute to click on the link and just provide your own insight into it. There was an issue with someone who was having trouble getting to the website because it is encrypted. So you have to essentially allow it to set a cookie. I know some people are really tight about the privacy settings, but this isn't a site that's going to set a virus on the computer. It's okay to take a cookie from it. So just, if you could just do that, I would really appreciate it.
Questions? Representative Lohner?
Does the Academic Affairs Committee have a seat on the first year engagement committee, or were you just attending as a
No, the vice chair academic affairs, Mike Wallace, Representative Wallace, says it's on that. What he did. We'll be producing a report about that experience for tomorrow.
Other questions? Mr. Gravello?
Matt, you were talking about looking into bylaws as it relates to the ITS fee board. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I have it on my laptop. I can show it to you after the meeting, Chair. But basically, the woman who was handling organizing it, administrator, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I don't know if I have it down here actually. Sorry. She sent me her undeveloped bylaws saying that she would like things adopted as soon as possible. And the review of it is obviously need improvement. I'm going to take it to CCSG, President Corey and Chairman Secchi, who is the Economic Affairs Chair, and see if we can jointly work out some revisions before I go to my meeting with her in 2 weeks. Because explicitly right now, the bylaws aren't organized very well right now, in my opinion. But
so are you saying that they didn't have functioning governing documents for a board beforehand? Or are they drafting new ones?
It says proposal to revise. I hadn't received any other ones, so if there are, they weren't turned over to me originally.
Other questions? Representative Malloy?
In regards to ITS board, I'm a little bit confused as to the board already exists, just the documents aren't in line, or is it something that they're trying to come to create? Because last year we looked into all this because a lot of people were saying that they didn't like the printing limits on the computers. And last year they sent out a random email on the 2 days notice. ITS is going to have a meeting so the government can come to review any complaints that anyone has. And I doubt anyone ended up going. If I had a conflict, so I couldn't. But so is this board does it actually already exist? Or are they trying to make it exist?
From my understanding, SAC has existed for a long time, but the email I received said and actually it was sent to all the executives from last year, so Hillary Lewis, Bobby Cassiano, all of them. A proposal to expand the Student Advisory Committee for Information Technology and Services, outline policies and procedures. This wasn't included, this wasn't in my original term of binder, so I don't know if it already existed. But essentially what it is an attempt at bylaws for the committee to govern the fee, but it's really generally worded, and there's not a lot of empowerment from UPUA or CCSG. I don't think it's exactly the board meeting you're talking about. This is an actual board to govern the technology fee. Does that answer your question?
Representative Malloy?
Yeah, I talked to Pat Gordon because that was first semester last year. So he probably helped spearhead that a lot. So maybe he would be more knowledgeable. But that sounds like something that we tried to create, and then maybe they just got around to it now.
Okay.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Mr. Gravello?
I'm going to try and come to your meeting tomorrow, Matt. But Alex Goodstein was the EPA liaison to the board. So it would probably be good to get in contact with him a little bit on how I've been trying to work with that board since my freshman year, first with USG and then UPUA. I was just wondering, do you know how much the IT fee is right now? Is it 300?
I want to, the answer to the question is I do not know what the number is, so I don't want to throw out something.
Okay.
I know it's well over $250.
Yeah.
Other questions? Okay, thank you. Moving on to Governmental Affairs Committee and Ms. Samantha Miller.
Okay. In committee, we worked on our 60-day plan, so that's what you have in front of you, a substitute for a committee report. You can read it over. If you have any questions, ask me. And then just as an FYI, I did officially sign our name to the Declaration of Service. In terms of working on the second half of that, which is getting administrators to endorse it, because the appropriate people don't sit on the executive board yet, I'm going to try to keep that going until I can pass it off to someone else, but eventually I think we'll do it.
Questions? Representative Mance?
Yeah, I said the details under the week of October 12th, contact other state student associations, Michigan, Minnesota, Oregon, Oklahoma. I know those aren't like big kind of schools. Why are those states or those schools on there?
Because it's not, those aren't schools, they're actual states, and they're public schools or state-related schools, I'm not sure exactly, but they have actual state associations of public students, or public university students, which is what we're trying to create. So it has nothing to do with it's not University of Michigan, it's actually the state of Michigan has a state association. That's why they're the ones who have it.
Other questions? Mr. Corbello?
Just to add to that list, Texas has a very good student association. I actually roomed with a member of the Texas A&M student government over the summer down there and got to learn a lot about their student association statewide. So that's something else to know.
Do you want to give me his contact?
Yeah, I can give you his contact information.
Other questions? Mr. Kierans?
Just looking at your 6-day plan, you have that on October 19th, week of October 19th, you have a scorecard, research, complete, and additional copy right to the website. How encompassing that be? Because that seems like...
Yeah. I know. I'm hoping it'll be everybody, but I'm still having an issue with finding the transcripts that need to give me the information's coming from. And I talked to Representative Conklin, and he assured me they would be in those transcripts, and I haven't been able to find them. So, barring a significant barrier and actually eventually getting those voting records, it eventually shouldn't be that much of an issue once we can just transfer it onto a sheet that was easily available.
Representative Malloy?
Yeah, I just found out as well, I don't know if you know, but apparently the state has made just open digital records 2 years ago. So I think past 2 years ago, it was going to site apparently, which might hurt, but at least maybe we can do it for the next few years, but I found that it's kind of hard to navigate.
It is hard to navigate, and honestly for now, I would be content with the previous year's appropriation vote, and then we can go back a year next time, but I would like you to make present term decisions, going back that far.
Other questions? Okay, thank you. Finally, Diversity and Campus Life Committee, Mr. Stephen Lucas.
Hi guys, how are you? I'm sorry I didn't print out anything. I had a migraine today, so. But just to go over the 60-day plan, basically what we're going to be doing in the next couple months and into the beginning of the second semester. We're going to have our networking event in November. We're working toward that. We're reforming the committee that worked on the student history of Penn State last semester so they can continue that work. We'd like to have a completed draft by the end of this semester to be ready for printing and finalization in January and then distribution campus-wide in the spring. Also, I just realized that we haven't been working on focus groups. One of the initiatives that we were supposed to start in this assembly were focus groups in different underrepresented communities and assess campus climate from a clearly student perspective and present a report to this assembly. I'm going to present a proposal to my committee on next Tuesday as to how we're going to do that, implement that program, form those focus groups, and that report should be delivered by the end of this assembly training. And also, everyone in my committee has been doing a fantastic job. This is just a plug for them. Each one is going to be doing their own project. They could each tell you about like what they're doing in our committee, but they're all going to be pursuing separate interests and then reporting back to the committee as a whole. So, great job.
Questions? Mr. Cairns?
Have you applied UPAC yet for your rep?
I have not, no. I will though.
It's probably 20 academically window, so it's going to be
Yeah, I talked to Andrew and said it's one day.
So as soon as possible.
Other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to liaison reports. Graduate Student Association, Ms. Joanne Olson.
Hi there, just want to let you know about two activities or events that we'll be co-sponsoring. One is coming up on October 21st and 22nd. We're co-sponsoring with the Chinese Fellowship Association. They are running a Chinese cultural fair. The first day that they're hoping to be more interactive. They have actually imported things from China. The man who gave the little blip, he said there was probably a total of 4 suitcases that came back filled with various things as people came back from the summer. So these are authentic Chinese artifacts and cultural events that will be happening again on October 21st and 22nd. The second thing is that we're co-sponsoring with the Red Cross. The Penn State, Michigan State blood drive. I'll be a little conflicted, gotta say, undergrad at Michigan State. However, the grad student blood drive will be held on November 6th from 11 to 5 at Rec Hall, and there will be lots of other events around the campus that year, so we're co-sponsoring that.
Questions?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Representative Lohner?
Does the GSA, have they yet, or are they planning to incorporate the new University Park Picture School as well?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Mr. Cairns?
There's a student bar association, they're separate.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Other questions? Mr. Gravella?
Slightly off topic, but were you involved in the Michigan State student government?
No.
No.
I have a question. So these are co-sponsors for these events.
Mm-hmm.
How much money did GSA contribute? Half or?
I don't know proportion,
Uh-huh.
but with the blood drive, we sponsored $1,500, and with the Chinese festival, $350.
Okay. So do you know if that's more or less than the other, the Red Cross or Chinese?
I don't know. I would guess less.
Okay. I'm just curious. Any other questions? Representative Miller?
I'm just curious. Does the GSA have assembly committees? There are a few. I wouldn't be able to tell you what they are.
They're more relaxed than GSA.
Perhaps.
A little bit. Other questions? Okay, thank you. Moving on to ARSH, Representative Andrew Kuntz, who is unfortunately absent again. Yep. Okay, moving on to item number 10, old business. No old business. Moving on to item number 11, new business. None. It is only 9:46, and we took a picture. Moving on to item number 12, comments for the good of the order. Mr. Gravella.
Just make sure you clean up the food and drinks in the room, since we're technically not allowed to have food and drinks in the room. I'll be hearing it if you don't, so unless you want to get me in trouble. Also, just a reminder that on-campus representatives do have to attend the, what's today, the 8th, the meeting on the 13th for ARSH. And if you're, yeah, which is on Monday, so if you're not sure if you signed up, you can just come contact me. And also the Borough Council meeting for off-campus representatives is also Monday, and practically every single off-campus representative signed up to go, so please fulfill that obligation and make the student presence at the Borough Council meeting real. I think it's 6:30. You can go to the Borough Council website. Is it 7:30? Okay.
Representative Kunkel?
I was wondering if the steering committee could consider moving the liaison reports like more closer to the beginning of the meeting. That way maybe if it's an issue with Representative Cruz that can't stay for the whole meeting, then you can have his report at the beginning.
Yeah, the Internal Development Committee is looking into that, I think. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Gravello can change that in collaboration with the Internal Development Committee. Representative Malloy?
Yeah, I'd like to plug an event. This Friday at 8:30 p.m. at the Atherton Hotel, the Penn State College Democrats will be having an event called O-Prama. It is a prom for supporters of Barack Obama. So if you happen to be one of them, tickets are $15, which is a deal, because you're at the Atherton, it's going to be great food, and a speaker yet to be released by the Obama campaign. That's the nature of campaigning. But it's from 8:30 to 11:30, semi-formal attire. If you're interested in tickets, come see me after the meetings. I have them.
Representative Knock?
That is this Friday, October 10th. The day after tomorrow. That's right.
Are there a lot of tickets still available?
There are a good amount, and they are going fast. So.
Okay. Other comments? Representative Smith?
Hey, I'd also like to invite everyone to an event. It's tomorrow, so I know it's short notice, but I only just received an email about it today. The Aunt Julia Cooper Symposium is being held at the Foster Auditorium October 9th. She's a very famous African-American civics writer, and I think that you would all would gain a lot from attending. It's the 150th anniversary of her birth. From 3 to 5:30, it's at the Foster Auditorium, and I think you'll get a lot out of it if you came and attended.
For those of you who do not know, Foster Auditorium is in the library, in the Petit Library. Other comments? Mr. Kierans?
With the 60-day plans, what we're going to do in order, an extra step of getting it out, each week, and I'm going to have this as a kind of one of the first things the executive cabinet takes care of. Each week we're going to compile what's going on that week as far as what each committee said. And for Valerie and myself, it'll be more day by day, but it'll be that week, this is what the UPOA is doing, and we'll try and get it to every board on the campus. And that's going to be going on for the next 60 days.
Which means until Thanksgiving. Other comments? I will make a comment. The LGBTQA community is hosting a series of events all week. I don't know if any of you are aware. Today they're out on Old Main Steps. If you want to know anything more about that, you can ask me or ask somebody that's probably involved in that group or that you know is already involved in that group. Representative Lucas. No, but no, it's not queer. So anyways, any other questions or comments? Ms. Gupta.
Val and I were talking about this earlier. We were thinking about getting UPA polos, and I wanted to see if y'all actually wanted to do that.
Oh, I'm so in on that. What color? Hoodies.
Point of it.
What?
Like the point, like homecoming.
Well, yeah. Well, obviously we can't get them before next Friday, but it would just look professional because I mean we are the student government. We should have something. We have nothing unless we're on the assembly for last year. So raise your hand if you would not want to do that.
Then we're gonna look like you.
Okay, well then what do y'all think? Just regular t-shirt?
Representative Malloy.
Like for 2 years we've been having this debate between hoodies or polos. And it's kind of ridiculous. But I think if we got polos, we could probably wear them to our meetings here, that they're supposed to have a decent attire. Whereas hoodies, I mean, if you're representing UQA, a hoodie isn't really professional. I think it's so
Really, the thinking behind this is we don't have to wear them at our meetings. That is one idea. But things like walking in the homecoming parade and attending various events that you help out with on campus, if you're attending something in regards to facilities and whatever, and you just want to put something on that says UPUA so people know who you are and what you're doing there and what your role there is, it's appropriate and it's probably necessary. Send recommendations to Ms. Gupta. Representative King?
Can we get like hoodies and polos?
We can request funding from UPAC to do something like that. We'll work on it. Representative Morrell?
How about hooded polos?
Okay. Representative Smith?
Yeah, I'm sorry for getting off topic, but what I want to ask about is when are we going to confirm our advisors? Because I'd really like to recognize them for the work they're putting in.
We will do that soon.
They have to be nominated by the president, so that's what we're waiting on.
Any other comments? Okay, we're going to do, moving on to item number 13, closing roll call. Secretary?
Michael Aldinger.
Here.
Mike Anderson.
Here.
William Barr.
Here.
Jim Burns.
Here.
Kenny Sheroff. Here. Ralph Corbella.
Here.
Sarah Donnenberg. Here. Adam Curran. Hillary Gupta. Here. Nicholas Hine. Hubert Hines.
Here.
Andrew Karasik. Gavin Barnes. John King.
Here.
Peter Corey. Caitlin Kunkel. Here. Andrew Coons. Matthew Lockman. Sean Leonard. Daniel Lurch.
Here.
Sam Lerner.
Here.
Benjamin Lombard. Stephen Lucas.
Here.
Nick Vance.
Here.
Sean Malloy.
Here.
Samantha Miller. Here. Christopher Morrell.
Here.
Christopher Knopf.
Present.
Is it Ellie? Ellie, I'm sorry. Joanne Olson. Here. Louise Orazio.
Here.
Luke Pierce.
Here.
Greg Plum. Brian Poland. Kelly Potter. Megan Quinn. Christian Ragland.
Here.
Valerie Russell. President Amy Sanders. Here. Carolyn Severi. Here. Matt Sheroff.
Here.
Philip Slusser. Richard Chemansky.
Here.
Colleen Smith.
Here.
Matthew Smith.
Here.
Michael Smith.
Here.
Michael Wallace.
Yep.
Cindy Wang.
Here.
Okay, thank you. This meeting is adjourned.
Here.